I am actively changing my life with perspective. A little over a year ago is when this change began. I was dealing with a lot of shit. Bullshit can really change you, you know? I had more money than I had ever had in my life, and I couldn't stop crying. I was doing everything I said I would do, but I couldn't stop crying. I had a family who loved me deeply, but I couldn't stop crying. At the time, I didn't realize so much power lies in tears. I was releasing everything, the pain, the hurt, the low self-esteem, the imposter syndrome, self-hate that I carried for years. This one event, this one life experience that seemed totally unrelated at the time, honestly, triggered the release of all the bits and pieces that were slowly rotting inside of me. Every dark experience I've ever had in my life was followed by a shift in my consciousness, a shift in my perspective. I always come out so fucking different, altered, replaced with a different version of myself. And I am grateful for it. I never thought I would say this, but I am grateful for it. It brought everything full circle for me. Somewhere I heard, everything changes when you change. Everything changes when you change. And that's the only thing I heard. Like, so much was said, but that is the only thing that I heard. And I took that with me and I meditated on that for days. Everything changes when you change. Literally 5, 6, 7 days later, I woke up one morning and I just began to journal on that statement. I began to kind of reflect. So many downloads were coming, like, upon me waking up. So today we're going to just be reading from my journal. Really be just reflecting on my reflections, honestly. I think everything changes when you change is such a powerful statement, and it has so many elements to it. And yeah, let's read my journal. Let's read my diary and read my diary. This is the first time I've ever read my diary to the world. Everything changes when you change. This was written on March 17th, 2024. Sometimes we can be dab smack in the middle of change and not even feel its presence. Usually in moments of transformation, when we're in the depths of it, it feels like the furthest thing from change. It feels like hardship, like struggle, like confusion. But something within me was changing. I think when we all think of change, when we think of evolution, to be more specific, we think of something beautiful. And don't get me wrong, it's very beautiful. It's a very beautiful thing to be able to go from one thing and to evolve, to elevate into something more, something new. It is such a beautiful thing, but I don't think we take account for all the pain that we feel, that we're going to feel while we're amidst the change, amidst the evolution. During this period in my life, honestly, I hadn't been this low since 2017. Okay, I hadn't been this low, and honestly, I feel like this time around, the huge transformation within myself, I feel like it was more aggressive than the last time. It was very aggressive and it was very dark. And honestly, at that point in my life, I didn't see a way out of it, especially when you dab smack in the middle. I now feel like I'm at a stage where I'm closer, not necessarily, because transformation and evolution doesn't necessarily have an end result. As long as you're existing, there is no end result. But I do believe that life comes in chapters. Life comes in seasons. And I feel like this transformation that took place, that is taking place, is manifesting in a new season, in a new chapter of my life. And I feel like I'm closer. I'm like 80, 90%, you know, within that transformation. And everything that I experienced during the depths of it, during the dark parts of it, is all beginning to make sense. It's all beginning to feel like, it was for something, because sometimes we go through shit and it's just like, I feel like this is happening for nothing. Now I'm feeling like it happened for something. When it comes to change, we have to go right through the difficult parts of it. That part of transformation is inevitable. Although I tried so hard to hide myself from the dark parts. I tried so hard. But we can't go under it. We can't float above it without experiencing some difficulty, some heartache. Change cannot occur. But something within me was changing, was shifting during the darkest time of my life. I honestly felt like I was dying inside because I was. I had to leave the old me, some parts of me behind. She had to literally die, decompose, disintegrate. The definition of change is to make different, alter, or modify. Replace something with something else. Reed from 6 months ago couldn't embark on this change, on this transformation. Because to be honest, she absolutely was not meant to. She wasn't meant to be on this part of my journey. And that's okay. I never felt like I had to detach from myself. I know we hear a lot about detaching from people, detaching from places, from relationships, but I'm realizing that it's important to detach from yourself. We get so used to the person that we were. We get so used to our habits, our thought processes. And honestly, nobody knows us like we know us. So detaching from yourself is one of the most difficult things that has to be done. If we're talking about change and evolution, detaching from self has to be done. And although I am evolving into this new being, I'm not going to attach to her. I'm going to fully experience her to the best of my ability, but I won't detach from her because that's what got me in this shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that's why the process of change and evolution can become so difficult, because we're so attached to who we are, what we like, our desires. We're so attached to those things, to those parts of us, that it makes transforming in evolution more difficult than it has to be, right? Granted, transformation is not an easy process in the first place, but that within itself makes it so much harder than it has to be. When I changed my inner world, everything around me changed. It all looked so different. Sometimes I curse myself because my perspective can literally change in minutes. And I sometimes feel psychotic. It's hilarious. I ask myself, how can you change your mind, your perspective so quickly? How can I do that? Why do I do that? And honestly, it's astrologically speaking, yeah, it could be my Gemini sun and my Gemini moon and all the other Gemini placements on my birth chart. But the ability to change my perspective is both a gift and a curse. The ability to change it so quickly is both a gift and a curse. It's low key a superpower. Most of the things we don't like about ourselves, the things that we feel, quote unquote, hold us back, have the potential to be a superpower if we learn how to use them. If we can make friends with those things and embrace those things, they can be our superpower. I want to go back to inner world. I want to reflect on that just a little bit more. When I changed my inner world, everything around me changed. It's literally like I seen the world through a different lens. So many things that I didn't see before now came into my peripheral. And I think about, you know, whenever I was down in the dumps for months and months and months, I cried damn near every day. I literally had to release so much of what didn't serve me. At the time, it didn't feel like really like releasing. It felt like depression. It felt like sadness. It felt like I was angry. Like it felt like helplessness. But I was releasing. I was releasing limiting beliefs. I was releasing old habits. I was releasing old ways of thinking. I was releasing past hurt, past trauma, past pain, past experiences that had such a dominant effect on how I seen the world, had such a dominant effect on my inner world. And when I was finished releasing, when I was when the release came to a completion, I was renewed. I was able to see the world differently. My inner world changed. So my outer world changed in every way possible. I was able to see the silver lining in everything. I was able to see the joy in everything. I wholeheartedly believe that it was necessary for me to experience everything that I did for me to get where I am right here, for me to be this version of myself that I am right here, right now, talking to you today. That had to happen. That experience had to happen. And I am grateful for it. I never thought I would say this, but I am grateful for it. It brought everything full circle for me. I am actively changing my life with perspective. A little over a year ago is when this change began, like I just talked about. I was dealing with a lot of shit. And I mean a lot. Bullshit can really change you, you know? I had more money than I had ever had in my life, and I couldn't stop crying. I was doing everything I said I would do, but I couldn't stop crying. I had a family who loved me deeply, but I couldn't stop crying. I was being recognized for being me, really, and I couldn't stop crying. What was wrong with me? At the time, I didn't realize so much power lies in tears. I was releasing everything, the pain, the hurt, the low self-esteem, the imposter syndrome, self-hate that I carried for years. Reflecting on that, I was just having a conversation with myself earlier. Like I audio journaled earlier, and I said to myself, all I've ever really wanted was to feel wanted. All I ever wanted was to feel wanted. When I was younger, lust, being lusted after, that felt like being wanted, and it filled a void within me. And here more recently, likes feel like being wanted. Success feels like being wanted. Comments, hundred thousands of subscribers, of podcast listeners, that feels like being wanted. I've never really been able to verbalize, like, damn, all I ever want is to feel wanted. That's all I ever really wanted. But today and just here lately, I've been going into myself, if that makes sense. And I realized that I want me. I want every part of me. I want all the depths of me in every way, shape, and form. And when I realized that the love, the desire, the want I have for myself to get to know myself, to love on myself. When I realize that I'm allowed to want me, the desire to be wanted by everything and everyone outside of myself, it disappears. And I know we hear love yourself, give, everything you ever wanted, give that to yourself. It's true. And I can feel that. Having a partner feels amazing. It's beautiful to be in communion with someone who sees you and loves you and who, quite frankly, wants you. But being wanted, desired by yourself is even better. This one event, this one life experience that seemed totally unrelated at the time, honestly, triggered the release of all the bits and pieces that were slowly rotting inside of me. Every dark experience I've ever had in my life was followed by a shift in my consciousness, a shift in my perspective. I always come out so fucking different, altered, replaced with a different version of myself. Sometimes you really gotta allow yourself to marinate. Like, you know what I mean? You really have to allow yourself to marinate in shit sometimes. And I know that seems unappeasing because I think as humans, it's hard for us to stay still, especially in the fast paced world that we live in. It's hard, it can be difficult, but we really just gotta allow ourselves to marinate sometimes. Everything changes when you change, literally. Your cells alter and you literally become someone different. When you alter your inner world, your reality, everything around you follows suit. The people around you change. Your effect on the world change. The world needs you to be you so you can have the influence, the effect that you are meant to have. The world needs you to be you. The world is, people like me are counting on you to be you. People like you are counting on me to be me. We need each other to be who we truly are so we can walk in this world how we're meant to walk. The way you feel about yourself changes. The way you treat yourself changes. The way you treat others change. The way you chase your dreams change. The way you envision your future changes. The way you move in this world changes. The way you walk changes. The way you talk changes. What you're capable of changes. Your focus changes. Your desire and your interest, they change. Your relationships change. Literally everything changes when you change, when you make the conscious decision to change, to ebb, to flow, to feel, to release, to marinate. It all changes. I gave myself permission to change, to let go, release, and discover parts of me that I kept in the dark for so long. The parts of me that I was afraid of, because once I embrace those parts, it ain't no turning back. You can't unknow what you already know. And that's scary. Once you know, you know. And, you can use that outlook on the world, but you can use that outlook when it comes to get to knowing parts of yourself, when it comes to get to knowing who you truly are, the dark bits of who you are. The thing about darkness, like I mentioned before, there's always light. The dark parts of you, there's light within that. Use it. Don't hide from you. Don't run from you. The dark parts of you deserve to have some love too, or else they're going to keep hiding. You're going to keep them in the dark and they're going to keep running from you. But when you give them attention and the love and the light that they deserve, you'll see the beauty in the dark parts of yourself. I gave myself permission to alter my inner world, therefore altering my reality. My inner world is abundant, so I am abundant. My inner world is limitless, so I am limitless. My inner world is so peaceful. It's so peaceful. So I am at peace. Grant yourself the permission to change, even if you're afraid, especially if you're afraid, so that everything around you can take its natural course and change, shapeshift, just as it is meant to.